Greetings, all you Jackson Jennets, and welcome to your daily dose of donkey with Ginger. It's your boy, the Viking Donkey, coming to you with the sports talk, Steelers talk specifically for week 3, right, Laskers? And we have Laskers in the studio. It's crazy. I don't know what's going on. We don't have Gingy because it's midnight on the East Coast, and well, he's getting sleep because, man's got to work. But Laskers, welcome to the studio.
Oh, the studio's pretty nice here, Donkey. I think you really like it because you can actually use your arms and play.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet in here. Hard loss from New England. Anyone who listened to the brand new show, The Bug Cap, got to hear my breakdown and Bug's breakdown of what happened in the New England game. But Laskers, you want to give us your take on the loss that now has made the Steelers winless in Acrisure Stadium history?
Yeah, my breakdown is, did we show up to this game this week? I mean, Boswell did, but he did what he could.
Say what you want, the defense played pretty well too. They had a turnover, really only gave up one touchdown because I don't think you can blame them for Gunner fumbling the ball and giving them New England the ball at the 10-yard line, which Patriots infiltrating our system by giving us a cast-off that was a Pro Bowl to give themselves a win might be the smartest Bill Belichick move I have ever seen.
It was definitely a smart move, and I don't know if you saw any of the stuff. He was pretty upset at himself for doing that because he really wanted to show up and torch his old team.
Oh, I do have to say, the one carry he got after that, he got more yards on that carry I think than Najee had all day because the offensive line, say what you want, they protected Mitch Trubisky pretty well last week. He had time to throw. There were some running lanes. Me and you just went through some film since you're here. I showed you some plays. There's wide open running lanes that Najee Harris is just cutting away from. Starting to get a little concerned about our boy Najee here.
Oh, I'm definitely concerned about him. I mean, 3.3 yards a carry for the week, on 15 carries is it's an improvement, but it ain't good.
No, certainly not.
Considering that Jalen Warren had 3.8 with only 4 carries.
Consider Gunner had 18 yards on 1 carry. It seems like our running backs are better at running the ball than our running backs are worse at running the ball than our wide receivers have been the last 2 years, which is what my biggest concern is. So, Laskers, while we don't have Gingy here, he did give us some fun talking points. He talked about, what did he want to call it? I'll call it the helmet gate of Ginger. As, apparently Gingy did not find it very amusing when Kenny Pickett decided to put on his helmet after all the chants were chanting, Kenny, Kenny, Kenny. Because, as Gingy says, how can you be a unified team if you want that? And Steelers fans are self-fulfilling prophecy as when they don't cheer on their number one quarterback, what you expect them to play like. We're not cheering him on because he's been playing like garbage. Honestly, if you look at the preseason throwing the ball down the field, he played like garbage. So we're going to keep chanting at Gingy until he tells us otherwise and steps his damn play up because, let's be honest here, and I was talking to Laskers about this earlier. To me, Mitch Trubisky was the guy who gave the Steelers the best chance not to lose football games, which maybe when you're playing Cincinnati and you can force 5 turnovers, that's okay. But he doesn't seem like the guy that's going to win football games. And until he shows he is there any problem with chanting Kenny, Kenny all day long, Laskers?
I mean, I'll defend Gingy's opinion a little bit. It might have been a little early in the second quarter. Give him a little bit of leeway. But I also saw exactly what Gingy was seeing because I was there. They were both out on the field in plain view of all the fans. It is not a united front when you do that. I mean, yeah, we want to see Kenny do good and we want to see Mitch do good. I think we need to give Mitch just one more game.
I hear you on this, and I agree. You don't change on the short week, and I'm a person who always says you give a team 5 weeks till you see what they are. I still believe that, but I still believe that Kenny Pickett or Mason Rudolph gives you a better chance to win games than Mitch Trubisky, and Mitch Trubisky is the guy who gives you a chance to not lose games. My biggest question is, because I remember Kenny Pickett wearing his helmet for a lot of the first game. Is Kenny Pickett just a guy who has his helmet on a lot more often than we pay attention to, and it just got noticed this time because it was a home game with the fans cheering?
I think it might have been, he may wear it more. I didn't pay that much attention in the first game. And I think really me and Gingy noticed it because it was right off the sideline that we're on. We could see them both out on the field talking. And I think that's more what it was. Maybe he just really likes his helmet. Maybe he feels safe there.
I know we also got into the talk of, what do we want to call it? Between Matt Canada and Mitch Trubisky, all these comments going on, people can't seem to get on the same page. Gingy summed it up pretty nicely, calling the whole offense a Mickey Mouse operation at this point. I don't think there's much more to say about that. You have George Pickens running open on post routes, but Mitch Trubisky fails to read the field and fails to throw the post route, except for the one time he did that and went for 23 yards. You have Mitch Trubisky begging to be able to call audibles, it sounds like, and begging to throw the ball over the middle. Yet the one time he is given a chance to throw the ball over the middle, he can't read that there's a linebacker sitting underneath and throws one of the easiest interceptions you'll ever see. We seem to have an offense that we can't blame the offensive line this game for the passing. They did a great job in pass pro. 2 of the 3 sacks Mitch took were plays where he rolled out instead of throwing the ball away. He just stood there like a lost puppy getting sacked. We can't get the offensive coordinator and the quarterback on the same page. I'm not sure if the people blaming Matt Canada are right. I'm not sure if the people blaming Mitch Trubisky are right. I think the people who are blaming them both are the people who are right, Laskers.
I think you're right on that one. Now, the other thing that I saw that I really didn't like is it was later in the game, we throw an almost impossible pass to Najee for him to catch when all the other wide receivers were single covered. And there was actually one.
Was it Jalen Warren, though, at that time? Maybe it was Najee.
No, it was
the
Najee,
third
for
and
sure.
8 screen pass where the guy was a yard off of him when he got the ball thrown.
Yeah, and Najee had to jump over the guy to try to make a play for it. And we actually threw one other post route that Deontay caught, but it wasn't in bounds because it was 3 yards out of bounds when he got the ball.
Holy moly, did you see the time of possession on that scoring drive they just put up there? It was like 71,000 days.
That's what happens. That's what happens if you don't have it set to the normal game time, because mine always does that.
That was quite impressive on the Madden there. Sorry for the sidetrack. But yeah, I don't know who we want to blame, but I will say 3 and out 2 times in a row in the second half when your defense makes big stops is unacceptable. The offense to me is the problem right now. I don't know who to blame it on. I know that Mitch Trubisky is getting a lot of blame. I know Matt Canada is getting a lot of blame. There's a person that I want to start giving some blame to who's not giving it, and it was last year's first-round pick, Najee Harris, is not performing the way a first-round pick should. I'll get into that more after the game. But then the Steelers' defense, the ugly head that killed us last year, reared itself again. 6 minutes to go, guess what the Steelers are unable to do? Stop the run. Laskers, is that a concern going forward, especially in a Cleveland game where you know what the Brownies are going to want to do?
It's definitely a big concern. I mean, we're supposed to be one of the better defenses. Yeah, TJ's out, but, we have to be able to have our players step up and be able to fill that gap and be able to stop the run. Because actually, I don't even know if TJ was there if we would be able to stop the run.
My question is, did Alex Highsmith even put on a jersey last week? Because the way he balled out in week 1, I don't even remember seeing him on the field.
He had 2 tackles.
Ah.
And 1 assist.
So he did show up. Well, at least that's something, because I certainly didn't see him. Big press out there was pretty impressive. I think he had like a 60-yard boot that ended up as a touchback. And then, more impressive to me, I know a lot of people want to call it out, but his worst punt of the day, his quote-unquote shank, went 39 yards. 39 yards is darn good when you consider like an average punt in the NFL is 44. So if he's shanking 39-yarders, hey, Big Press looks like he's stepping up this year.
Well, and then his average was 51.5 with that shank. So, I mean, he's definitely balling out, making sure that the teams have to pay.
That is good to see. Laskers, any other thoughts on the New England game before we get into breaking down the Brownies? And this is for you, Gingy, Jacoby Brisket.
No, the only other thing is Miles Jack did show up last week. He did a pretty good job for, trying to step up and do some stuff.
All I have to say is, Gingy, I know you're mad that I didn't mention Cam Sutton dropping an easy interception before the Gunner fumble. And, of course, not talking about Ahkello Witherspoon getting mossed. But I talked about it in my recap, and, man, I just don't want to talk about Ahkello Witherspoon getting jumped over by little tiny, tiny receivers, okay? Nelson Aguilar, no offense to you out there. I know you're probably bigger than me, but, dude, seriously, Nelson Aguilar? Come on now. Okay, that brings us to the Browns. What do we want to call them? The slobber knockers. The AFC North football. Trying to think of anything else Gingy would say into it. This is a Browns team that I'm going to talk about some numbers in Najee and why I think he needs to step up for the Steelers offense. This is a Browns team that's going to be without Jadeveon Clowney. Jesse James, the outlaw, apparently signed there, and he's apparently going to miss. They had a bunch of offensive linemen limited in practice on the last day last year. So maybe some of them will miss. Maybe Myles Garrett will miss. I mean, he was limited, but I doubt it. But you're talking Joe Bitonio. You're talking Jack Conklin, Chris Hubbard, all limited. Hey, maybe we catch a break. Maybe without Clowney there, the pass rush isn't huge. I know Gingy's really looking at that Myles Garrett versus Turnstile. I mean, Dan Moore Jr.
Yeah.
Over there. I think the Browns have shown a vulnerability, though. I mean, they did just give up almost 400 passing yards to Joe Flacco! Seriously, I swear, if Mitch Trubisky does not throw over 200 yards today, it's never going to happen. Like,
it is today.
It is today, so count. East Coast is today, so for all y'all, if Mitch Trubisky doesn't get it going in this game, after the way Joe Flacco put on a show against the Browns, is it time to be concerned yet?
It's definitely time to be concerned. But, if we only throw over the middle and don't throw any deep routes, he ain't going over 200 yards.
I certainly hope he does, because I obviously am not wishing bad on Mitch Trubisky. He's the Steelers quarterback, just like Ben was last year. I might disagree with who's playing, but I want to see them succeed. Am I going to champ for Kenny Pickett every chance I get? Hell yeah. First off, I think he gives us the best chance to win. Second off, I love everybody who comes from Pitt. That's why I'm a huge James Conner fan, even though he's in Arizona. But this Browns offense, a little fun look. Amari Cooper, allegedly their number one receiver, certainly gets paid like it. Not sure he scares me. David Njoku scares me because athletic tight ends kill the Steelers. More importantly, you know who really scares me?
Nick Chubb.
Kareem Hunt. Take whichever one you want. Both of them scare me. And the fact that we couldn't stop Damian Harris and who the heck's the other dude for New England? Something with an R, like Richardson or something.
Give me a second.
The fact that we couldn't stop those two dudes at the end
there is absolutely no way I'm going to try to pronounce that name. It's Stevenson.
Ramondre Stevenson. I knew there was an R somewhere in his name. Apparently his first name. The fact that we couldn't stop those two at the end of the day. Think of how many plays we played the first week because overtime. New England runs the ball down our throat. It's a short week. I'm a little concerned that we're going to have a tired defense. No TJ Watt, which last week meant no pressure. And the Browns want to run the ball right down our throat. That scares me. Not to mention, what's the Steelers' record now without TJ Watt? 0-6?
Something like that.
So
it's
still
not good.
won a game without TJ. So I'm scared. I'm a little concerned. The Browns' rookie kicker seems to have ice in his veins. He made, a 58-yarder week one to win the game, I believe, as time was expiring after the should have been intentional grounding, wasn't intentional grounding play. That's what I have on the Browns' defense and special teams last year. What are you thinking there?
I do think that the running game from them is a big problem, and definitely tight ends, because we still have yet to prove that we can cover a tight end that is actually somewhat athletic. And, that's a big deal, being able to stop that from them being able to pick up easy first downs over the middle.
Okay, second off, I know I said I was going to do this every week, but I kind of got confused. Let's first break down the Pittsburgh Steelers versus Cleveland Browns history. And obviously it's not first because we already started, but we're going to say we're first breaking this down. Everybody, once you watch this, well, actually,
go back.
Without knowing, fast forward to this, watch this, then rewind to the breakdown, okay? Do it for me. Steelers hold the all-time record 79-61-1. It's 2-1 in the playoffs. You have to remember Ben was like 25-3-1 or some crap against them. He owned the Brownies. At Cleveland, which is what matters, the Steelers are 30-39-1. The largest win in the series was Cleveland at 51-0 in 1989. By the way, there was like 3 games that the team scored 51 at some point. Really weird when doing the research. The biggest win for Pittsburgh was a 43-0 shutout in 1999. Wasn't that like right after that was either right before the Browns or right when they came back, right?
Yeah, something like that.
The longest win streak was Cleveland won 8 in 1950-53, and Pittsburgh's longest win streak was 12 from 2003 to 2009. Do you know why? Because Ben Roethlisberger doesn't lose to the Browns. It's that simple. Current streak is somehow we beat the Brownies last year, both games, when they were supposed to be the AFC North tough team. I mean, you're talking back in October, we beat them 15-10, and On January 3rd, we beat them 26-14. I think we're going to need a defensive performance like that to win the game. Laskers hold them under 15 points. Seems to be a good spot to win a game.
I think you're right, especially since, we're going to be depending on our kicker to kick a lot of field goals. So 15 points, that sounds good. We can kick for 18.
All right. Now I want to get into this offense, what I think, and I'm going to ask you what you think they need to do better to move forward. I'm not going to blame the offensive line here because they actually played pretty good last week. I showed you there was running lanes for Najee that he just didn't take, and there was time for Mitch. I mean, did you guys, you were at the game, did you feel like Mitch even felt pressure that whole game?
There was times that he definitely did, but I would definitely say the offensive line definitely stepped up last week and actually gave him time to breathe and, actually make a first or second read instead of having to throw immediately. And there was definitely lots of running lanes available.
The guy I want to talk about Laskers this week is Najee Harris, because he's a guy who gets this pass and has been getting it the whole time because the offensive line is bad. You can't judge Najee, but there's a lot of young running backs who have had bad offensive lines, and none have really performed the way Najee did. I mean, you just want to look at total stats last year. You have to go back all the way to 2010 to find a running back who ran the ball 300 times and didn't have at least 4 yards a carry. And in 2010, those running backs were Steven Jackson, towards the end of his career in St. Louis, Cedric Benson, who someone had to touch the ball for those Bears teams, so he took it. And a guy who I think, if you look at the way they played, compares very similarly to Najee, and he doesn't see the holes that well. That's Rashad Mendenhall for all you Steelers fans. I mean, I went down and I did some more deep diving, so I looked at a lot of running backs' first 20 games, and what I considered a bad game was under 3.5 yards a carry. An average game is 3.5 to 4 yards a carry, and over 4 yards a carry is a good game. Najee Harris, 12 out of his first 20 games, bad games. That's 60% of the time. 3 out of his first 20 games average, and 5 out of his first 20 games above average. I don't think that's really going to cut it. And then so I'm like, okay, you know what? Bad offensive line, average yards per carry isn't going to be there. So how many games did he have an explosive run? And for your curiosity minds out there, an explosive run is 15 yards or more in a game. Only 7 out of 20 times that he did that. How many 100-yard games has he had? 3. Do you want to know who that compares to? Out of all these running backs, and I looked at a bunch of first-round picks. I looked at Trent Richardson, Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, Josh Jacobs, Leonard Fournette. I even went and compared him against Derrick Henry, although that's not really fair because Derrick Henry wasn't a starting running back till year 3. He was always in timeshares with DeMarco Murray, and even Dion Lewis in year 3 was the starter for the first 4 or 5 games in Tennessee. Okay, all I'm going to say is, how many of those running backs I named do you think had less explosive runs in games than Najee? Because remind you, 7 out of 20. You're talking guys like Leonard Fournette, not huge explosive guys, right?
I'm gonna go with 1.
Yeah, there was only Trent Richardson, and he had 6 explosive games to Najee's 7. 100-yard games, again, only Trent Richardson had the same as Najee at 3. I mean, you're talking. All these other guys have explosive games in double digits, and I'm not, like, Leonard Fournette had 10, and Leonard Fournette wasn't really huge at the time. Derrick Henry only had 8, but that's kind of hard to say because I was counting his first 20 starts. 8 of those were in games where he wasn't the main runner. If you look at the first season where he started the year as the running back, 13 out of 17 games that year, which was following his 3rd year, his 4th year, he had explosive runs. I'm hoping there's something different going on here, but I mean, you're looking at a guy who's shown less than Josh Jacobs, who's starting to get phased out in Oakland. You're talking he's comparable to Trent Richardson. And for anyone who's really curious, I put James Conner in this conversation to see, after he got a starting job, how much he did. He had 11 explosive games, 6 100-yard games. He only had 7 bad games in his first 20 as opposed to Najee's 12. He had 11 positive games opposed to Najee's 5. What I'm not seeing here in all my stats is where Najee is a step above being a first-round bust running back. I understand he set the Steelers' rookie record for rushing yards. Yeah, he did it in about 100 more attempts than Franco Harris, and he did it with 3 extra football games. Yeah, I get it. He holds a record. Yeah, I get it. When he hurdles people, I'm there cheering my butt off. Last year, he was pushing the pile. I haven't seen him push the pile this year. When do we see an explosive Najee Harris that is a first-round running back, Laskers?
Well, here's a question for you. Is there a chance that he may be a little bit hurt this year from some of the stuff from last year where he doesn't want to make those hurdling plays or try to push the pile because he's scared to get hurt again?
I think that foot injury in camp is slowing him down. I will say that. But I'm not even just talking this year. I'm talking, you put on the tape from last year, and I brought it up with you guys lots of times. You don't see Najee Harris make people miss. Does he push the pile? Yeah. But he doesn't make people miss. He doesn't seem to have good vision. It seems like he runs into defenders a lot, especially at the close plays, where you could have a 2-3 yard gain. He takes a 1 yard loss because he just doesn't seem to see the field well. I get it. He's pretty quick. He definitely is athletic with his ability to hurdle. He definitely can catch the ball out of the backfield pretty well, and he runs blocks well. But if the Steelers don't have explosive plays out of the run game from Najee, who are they going to get it from? Because no offense to Jalen Warren, no offense from Benny Snell, a.k.a. the Snail, No Yard Benny, they're not going to have explosive plays. It's like we have end-of-career Jerome Bettis without Fast Willie Parker.
Yeah.
It's concerning.
It's definitely concerning. Now, one other sidetrack is, maybe you shouldn't draft University of Alabama running backs in the first round since, the two that you mentioned are both from the University of Alabama.
That's fair. You definitely wait to the second round and you get Derrick Henry. I will not argue with that. I actually have some more concerning news about Najee Harris that I'll break down next week. It has to do with running backs who touch the ball as often as Najee does and what their lifespan is. And let's just say, after a 300-yard carry season, if you carry it up with another one, it doesn't look very good for you unless you're Adrian Peterson, and he actually had gaps in between, and he got injured a lot in between that. My big concern here is, if this was the best Najee we are going to see as the Steelers, and he starts digressing like a lot of these guys who've gotten 300 carries for, we're in big trouble because he needs to progress to even be a top 15 starting running back. I mean, look at his yardage. The only reason he's up there is because what? He touched the ball more than anyone else. It's a scary spot to be as a Steelers fan. I don't think there's enough talk about it because all the talk is clearly, is it Mitch or is it Kenny? Who would do better? Is it Matt Canada's fault? At some point, we have to look at the running back position and say, you have to do better. Like, Jalen Warren should not be averaging more yards a carry than Najee Harris. Najee Harris should not be having games where he doesn't have an explosive run of 15 or more yards. Najee Harris should not have games where he's kept below 3.5 yards a carry. I'm sorry, if you are a first-round running back, there are expectations that are come along with it. And that is, even if you have not a great offensive line, you're able to perform. And I just don't see it. If you're telling me he needs a great offensive line to perform, then I'm telling you we should have just kept James Conner.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely, if that's the case, we definitely should have, because a running back should be able to, we have to make some holes, but a running back should be able to make his own holes too. And, the biggest thing that we're both looking at is, instead of going where the holes are, he's trying to bounce every play outside. And that's just not a good plan if you're not a super, super fast guy.
This isn't Alabama, and you're not outrunning Texas Southern defenders to the sideline, Najee. This is the NFL, and everyone has 4.6 speed or better.
Yeah.
It's just that simple, but I don't know. I wanted to put it out there. I feel like Najee's getting off the hook here without any blame, because you're talking two close football games where if we establish the run, they go differently. I mean, both games are one-score games. If we can just get a little more out of Najee Harris, especially in that Cincy game, it never even becomes a thing. In the New England game, I don't know if it becomes a thing, but I sure think if we're running the ball effectively by the fourth quarter, we're able to keep running the ball and we don't take 2 straight 3-and-outs to end the game.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, definitely we need at least a little bit more so that we can, not have to depend on Mitch Trubisky to make plays down the field all the time. We need someone else that can, step up and get some yards and first downs.
Also, Mitch Trubisky, if I was you, I'd be throwing the ball to George Pickens all the time because he seems like the only receiver that wants it. He comes out claiming he's open 90% of the time in New England. If that boy's open, throw him the football, Mitch. I know you don't know how to read a defense very well. You're much like Carson Wentz in that one read and check down. Make that one read George Pickens and start throwing that kid the football. We drafted him for a reason. Use him. Also, shout out to Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool for 2 or 3 man catches. I know they were only for like 5 yards, but those boys' catch radiuses look good this year.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they dropped 1 or 2, but it's not like you can really blame them for some of that stuff.
No, I don't think they've dropped an on-target throw yet. Maybe
no,
one
I don't
they
think
can
so.
get their hands on, but Mitch boy hasn't thrown very much on target. I'm hoping for a breakout game for him this week. Let's get into the picks. We'll start with the non-Browns game. I have Gingy's picks for both of them. I just have to find it. I got lots of papers because I wrote lots of notes today. Gingy likes Baltimore over the Jets, Flacco, and the Ravens over New England. Lashkers, who'd you like in those 2 games?
I'm actually going to go against the grain here a little bit. I just think that I'm not sure I saw a lot from the Bengals. I mean, yeah, they started to pull it together at the end of the game. So I'm going to go with the Jets over the Bengals. And I'm just going to toss a coin for the other one. Since it's at the Patriots, I'm going to go with the Patriots.
So I have to go and say I like the Ravens over the Patriots purely because Bill Belichick was apparently gushing over Lamar Jackson before he drafted him and gave him a smile. I can't believe Bill Belichick gave a smile to anyone. Just for that, I have to say Lamar's going to win the game because if Bill saw something in Lamar, he's probably going to... It's probably because Bill is afraid he couldn't stop Lamar, right?
Yeah.
So I got to go ahead and give it to there. And I have to give it to the Bengals. Remember when everyone was complaining about Joe Burrow the first time and he came out and showed everyone what's what? I think he's about to do it again. And yeah, I know there's a lot of reason to show hate and all this, but the Jets don't really have a pass rush. And to be fair, he might have just played the 2 best pass rushers in the league his first 2 games. TJ Watt was all in his face. And I don't know if you watched that Dallas game, but boy, did Micah Parsons show up. I still can't believe they lost to Cooper Rush. Neither here nor there, but Micah Parsons showed up to that game. That brings us to the Steelers game. Gingy saying 27-17 Steelers win. I think I scribbled something. It's close to that. He says Steelers win in an offensive explosion. How many times did we say that last year?
Well, Gingy said it a lot. I'm going to go... actually, I'm going to go with what we talked about earlier. I'm going to go 18-15 Steelers.
Everything in my mind tells me the Browns win this game. Steelers showing weakness against the run. Cleveland can run. Steelers not showing anything on offense. Well, the Browns can do a little something on defense. Everything in the book tells you the Browns should win this game. Short week at Cleveland. Coming off a hard loss for the Browns. Should be motivated. Right?
Yeah.
No. 20-14 Pittsburgh Steelers. And the reason I say that is my preseason predictions are still technically on pace because I thought the Steelers would be 1-1 at this point. So I have to keep it going. I thought they were going to beat the Browns both times. To be fair, I thought this offense would be running a hell of a lot better than it is right now, and we would have TJ Watt. Oh, also, did I mention Steelers 0-6 without TJ Watt?
No, you did not.
Oh,
we
yeah,
talked about it.
Let's mention that too. So everything says Browns. No, Steelers for sure. That's how it's got to go. 2014. Don't know how we get there. Something weird happens. Probably a safety for the Browns. I don't know. But Laskers, any closing thoughts on the Steelers, Browns, Patriots, whatever we want to talk about?
No, I think we'll just go to X Factors.
Oh, I did leave out X Factors. We'll start off X Factors. Gingy's X Factor is Dan Moore shutting down that man right there, Myles Garrett. As you can see, Big Al did not do a good job on that play.
No,
Hopefully, Dan Moore does a little better than that. Lasker's your X Factor.
My X Factor is going to be Alex Highsmith. We got to get him involved. You got to put some pressure on it, and hopefully you can stop the run.
My X Factor is a threefold X Factor, and I don't know how you want to break it down. But let's put it this way. Mitch Trubisky and or Matt Canada. Whichever one of you is the problem, need to figure it out. Okay? Cool. We had that talk. Talk 2, Najee, if you do not start averaging over 3.5 yards per carry, I am going to trade you for Aaron Judge's home run bat that breaks Maris's AL record when he hits 63, okay? It's that simple. You can go play for the damn Yankees if you can't start running over 3.5 yards a carry. That's all I got to say. Guess it's time for shout-outs. Laskers.
Oh man, I don't even know if I have one this week. I guess I'll give your brother a shout out. Thanks, Zoidy, for inviting me to the game last week, and it's always a fun time even if we have to see them lose.
Well, you could have left before it ended. That would have saved it. You know, it could be like an LA fan. My shout out this week is going to do nothing with football, but Aaron Judge, congratulations on becoming like the 6th player in baseball history to hit 60 home runs in a season. I believe you did it against my Pirates, so kudos. Way to smack one off one of the worst teams in baseball. Love to see it. Love to see records get chased, records potentially get broken. And just for that, let's say Albert Pujols too, left for dead, goes back to St. Louis for a farewell tour, and has almost got up to 700 home runs because he's having a hell of a year. So my shout out are those 2 baseball guys, because I'm not shouting out anyone after that game. I'm really sad. Although Minka, you were close to getting one because 2 picks in 2 games. I love seeing that.
Well,
Minka
we got to make sure Minka is okay for tomorrow. He needs to get over his leg cramp.
I did see he was lifted with cramps. That's quite funny. I guess it's time to let you know I am the Viking Donkey. That's Viking_Donkey on Twitch and Twitter. Your daily dose of donkey with Ginger is the YouTube channel where you can catch us. Make sure you subscribe, like, and follow because there's new content coming out. You got the bug cap. The power ranking show will be starting in week 5. Maybe there's some other content we'll be coming up with. Who knows? We got to hint it at you. We can't give it to you all at once. That's why you have to subscribe to make sure you get the notification when something new comes at you. Laskers.
I'm Laskers everywhere, and I'll even go with Gingy. He's Mutant Gingy on the Xbox, and he's always playing games, so go find him there.
I guess it's time. Donk Nation, Steeler Nation, I love y'all even if you're crazy sometimes. But it's Browns, it's Steelers, it's gonna be a snot knocker, as Gingy would say. So you gotta wave them if you got them. Here we go.